Good evening, guys. My name is Zia, and welcome to MicroStrategy. Boy, do we have a show today. It is a shocking MicroStrategy bull case that I'm going to talk about. This is going to be really great show because we just had the MicroStrategy earnings call, and I listened to it all the way, and I have pulled out a lot of exciting things for you to take a look at because what I've heard today is what I've been talking about for a long time. The valuation of the MicroStrategy share. And my mind was blown, and I was so happy to see the CEO of MicroStrategy spend about 6 or 7 slides justifying mNAV and price to earnings. And you will be surprised to hear what he thinks today's MicroStrategy price should be. And let's talk about it. All right. So, guys, what's the agenda? I'm going to quickly show you a couple of slides about earnings, and then we will talk about Stretch. That's going to be very interesting because you heard about Stride, Strife, Strike, and now there's Stretch. And that has been the largest IPO, and we'll talk about why. It's very important to understand that. And then talk about MicroStrategy setting new standards when they're going to sell MSTR. How do they value? And that's what I was just talking about. How does the industry, or I should say, how should the industry value MicroStrategy shares? And the CEO of MicroStrategy spent a lot of time talking about this today. And then last but not least, why MicroStrategy trades at a premium. Because a lot of the people out there are saying, I want to buy Bitcoin. I want to hold Bitcoin. Why do I want to pay a premium to hold a MicroStrategy share that then holds Bitcoin? So we have an explanation from Michael Saylor as well as their CEO. All right, so let's get to it. Okay, so the highlights of earnings is mind-boggling, guys. So we're going to get to that. As you know very well, they own 628,000 Bitcoins. They are going to buy another $4+ billion worth of Bitcoin. Guys, that's about 40,000 plus Bitcoins. I think they're going to buy that next week. And they did a release on that earlier. Did you know that? They're going to buy at least $4.2 billion worth of Bitcoin. And when they say they're going to do it, they usually do it the next week or the following week. So expect another big buy, probably the biggest, 40,000 Bitcoin in one shot. So I'm super excited about that. Their market cap right now is 112 billion, and that is going to be discussion at the end. Should it be 112 billion or should it be much larger? So we'll talk about that. And you know about Strife, Strike, Stride, and Stretch, and we're going to talk about Stretch. And then, of course, year to date, capital raised, which allowed them to buy Bitcoin, was $18.3 billion. That's year to date, guys. In 6 months, they raised $18 billion. Unreal what they are doing. And the genius behind MicroStrategy, obviously led by Michael Saylor. All right, a couple more numbers here, then we don't need to go through this. You guys can look this up. But look at Q2 operating income, $14 billion and $10 billion of net income. So look at the box where it's highlighted Q2 2025. You see those numbers? That's $32 plus per share, earnings per share. They've never had that. Look at the quarter before and a year ago. It's been negative. Finally, because of the FASB rule change, which is written down here, you can read it. That rule was changed. So now they can actually take into account the Bitcoin income without actually selling the Bitcoin. So that was a huge accounting changes that happened. The FASB accounting changes for the fair value accounting. Okay, so let's keep going. This is Stretch. So let's talk about this. Take a look at this, guys. Stretch IPO'd, I think week and a half, 2 weeks ago. They raised $2.5 billion. And the very next days, Michael Saylor went out and bought 20,000 plus Bitcoins. Just a few days ago, he just bought 20,000 plus Bitcoins using this money right away. He doesn't put it in fiat and leave it there. He immediately converts it into Bitcoin. Now, look all the way down to the right. Stride, STRD, when that IPO, look at that. Instantly, $1 billion. And he immediately bought Bitcoin with that. So that's the name of the game here. This is the largest IPO in 2025 by MicroStrategy doing STRC. This gentleman, Michael Saylor, has found the money glitch, and he is taking the fiat money and converting it into Bitcoin instantaneously. All right, so now these are all the instrument or securities that MicroStrategy has that allows them to raise money and then go buy Bitcoin. So from the top to the bottom, The most recent ones are in the bottom. Stretch is the very last one. And we're going to get into the stretch a little bit more as to why he opened stretch. All right. I've already done videos on Stride, Strife, Strike, and also MSTR in general. I'll link the video to this and you guys can take a look at it. So let's dive in a little bit more. So what the heck is stretch? He comes up with all these names: Stride, Strife, Stretch now. It's short duration, high yield credit. It's almost like a money market that pays really high interest. All right. So let's see. It's a lot of details, as guys. You don't need to worry about that. But look at that $100 circle on the right. You put in $100, it stretches, meaning it gives you more interest for short duration. Okay. Right now, it's getting about 10% interest on a monthly basis. Monthly variable cash dividend with effective yield of 10%. So look in the bottom. So right now, as of July 30th, effective yield was 9.5%. Compare that to BTC ratings, which is 6.1%. So this is a great instrument for people who put money in money market, checking account, whatnot, to be able to put money in this and take it out immediately and get about 10% interest. Now, look at this, guys. Bank accounts in US has about $18 trillion. We all have checking account, savings account. We put in there, and guess what kind of interest we get? 0.1 to 4%. Money market, you can see that 7.4 trillion. Short-term treasuries, 5.8 trillion. Corporate commercial paper, 1.4. All of this market adds up to about $30 trillion. Now that he introduced Stretch, he now has opened this instrument up to this $30 trillion market. And he intends to raise more and more out of this $30 trillion. Are you beginning to see what he is doing? He's sucking in capital from all these areas, the banks, the money market, short-term treasury, corporate commercial, and moving them into Stretch by offering 9.5% interest. How can he pay all that? Because the valuations Bitcoin keeps going up. So that's another video altogether. So this is very, very interesting. And this guy is a genius. I cannot stop saying this. Okay, let's talk a little bit about when he's going to sell MicroStrategy, the actual equity share, the common share, MSTR. As you guys know, he sells MSTR at appropriate times, and then he takes that money, which dilutes the shares, and then buys Bitcoin. We, as MSTR shareholders, don't always like it, but we do understand it's for 3-year, 5-year plan. So now that they have stabilized all of this, here's a chart where they have decided that from now on, the mNAV, if it's below 2.5, they will not be selling the common shares, which is music to my ear, guys. That means that MSTR shares can go up to $600 and he still won't sell the common shares. He will only sell it between 2.5 and 4, maybe, and opportunistically. So that band you see from 2.5 to 4, he says he will sell MSTR common shares to raise money to buy Bitcoin opportunistically. But if it's more than 4x, he intends to sell it quite actively. All right? So now we know what the floor is. We've always wondered what the floor was. It's 2.5. So 2.5 times the net asset value. This is very interesting. Great news today. He made a lot of news today, which is interesting to me. All right. Now, the CEO of MicroStrategy spent probably 10 minutes on the earnings call today, justifying how the market should take a look at MSTR and value MSTR. So he had a chart on the left for traditional and chart on the right. And you look at earnings and then you multiply, right? So you look at net income of a company. And then what he did is traditionally how it's marked up in terms of price to earnings. And then also talked about Bitcoin treasury using NAV, multiply that out as well. So let's look at some real numbers here. But before we do that, take a look. A typical S&P company, their multiples are 24x. 24x. And where does MicroStrategy stack up? On the left side, 2025 estimated net income is number 13 in all the companies traded in America. MicroStrategy is number 13 at 24 billion. Look at the middle in terms of market cap, it's 96. It doesn't make any sense. That's what he was talking about. How can you be number 13 in terms of net income, but you don't get value at 24x? Okay? So now let's go to the next. Look at price to earnings multiple. MicroStrategy's at number 13 on income, net income, but 495 in terms of getting the multiple. Their multiples are 4.7x at best. So he started to justify, and he said, if you use the traditional model, the value of MicroStrategy share should be anywhere between $600 billion to $960 billion. And then if you use what the model he would like you to use, and Michael Saylor is a proponent, I am, and many of us, is how a Bitcoin treasury company, that's what MicroStrategy is, should be valued. And if they are valued, the mNAV, he expects the mNAV to go all the way up to 12x. 12x. So mNAV at 10x takes the valuation of this company today, guys, today to $875 billion. That's 7-8 times of what the share price is today, because today is around $112 billion market cap. He's saying the market cap should be $875 billion. So once the Wall Street and all of these guys wake up and truly understand how to value Bitcoin treasury companies, instantaneously, this is going to close to $1,000. And as I said in other price predictions, I'm predicting it should be around $4,000, guys. $4,000. That's where we're headed. Because think about it this way. If you take the MicroStrategy share price of around $400, you multiply that by 10 times, you get $4,000 per MSTR common share. That's where we're going, guys. So I hope you understand what we're talking about here. And this is very, very interesting to me, because look at why people should be buying Bitcoin. And this is the very last slide. The reason people should buy MicroStrategy as opposed to directly buying Bitcoin, and the justification for that is given here. You get credit amplification with strategy. You don't get that with spot Bitcoin ETPs as well as Bitcoin. You have options advantage of $100 billion in open interest. And you can see the other numbers. Passive flow. It's already in NASDAQ 100. It's in Russell 1000. And it is going to be in S&P 500 very soon. So you don't have that in Bitcoin. And you don't have that in spot Bitcoin. And then capital access, institutional access by MSTR. Look at that. $35 trillion in equity and $60 trillion in credit. This is where MicroStrategy is going to get all the money to keep buying Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. I think in about 2-3 weeks, he's close to over 700,000 Bitcoin. So this is going to be an interesting journey. I cannot believe what I heard today in earnings call. And I really took away these points. And let me show you the points I'm talking about, that the stretch is a new way to raise $4, $5, $6, $10 billion just like that. Okay? The ATM is going to be at 2.5x mNAV. That's when they will sell the common shares. And we talked about the valuation of MicroStrategy should be at least 10x from here, which makes it $4,000 a share for MicroStrategy. I'm stoked. The world is waking up. And guys, if you like this video, I'm going to be doing more videos around MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet, and these Bitcoin treasury companies where my focus is. Of course, I do Bitcoin videos as well. So continue to like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.